Now that you have read each scenario, written down some possible questions, and then completed the reflection, we're going to spend some time going over some of the possible questions that you may have listed on your form. So these are just some examples that KDE has come up with. You may have similar ones, you may have different ones, and that's okay. The purpose was just to kind of get you thinking about possible questions and just ways to get more information about the situation to decide whether or not that would be a request that you would want to approve. So I'm going to go through the scenario and then list some questions that we have come up with. And then we will move on to the next responsibility. So the first scenario was scenario 1. And it said that a teacher would like to purchase a classroom set of graphing calculators for 6th grade students. Grades 7 and 8 already have them. And so the calculators are needed to help prepare students for math testing in the 6th and 7th grade, and because math scores are an area for improvement. And so this would cost $4,000 for 31 calculators. So some questions that you may ask of that teacher would be, what month is it? Again, this is something that we talked about in that example, but what month in the year is it? Is it May? Because if it's May, we may not be thinking about purchasing calculators currently as school's about to end. And so just kind of what funds are due this month or coming up and that sort of thing. So it's important to know the timeline there. Can the PTO help? Can they share in the expenditure? Can the PTO run some kind of fundraiser to maybe try to, recruit some like I said, fundraisers to help raise the money? Do they have extra money in their fund that they could maybe use to help with this? So that's a resource that could be looked at. And then, are we budgeting all departments the same amount or based on data and need? Is this a lot more than maybe the reading department may be getting, and they also need resources to help raise test scores? So it's important to kind of make sure that all of our bases are covered here. Looking at the whole, the whole data, the needs assessment as a whole, and not just in one area. Scenario number 2, enrollment is down for the school. The superintendent's office has said that the school will have 1 fewer certified staff position for the coming year, so the council will need to cut 1 certified position. So what are some questions that the council could ask in order to determine, what this position is going to be? So what do the numbers show? And that could be academic data, but it could also be like this next question: what classes are students scheduling? Are they scheduling, classes and there's a very few students taking a particular class? Maybe then that class isn't needed or necessary. Is there a position that is not needed for requirements to be met or something like that? That could maybe be cut. In which areas are students not growing? So those are some questions to think about if a position was to, if there was a position needed to be cut. Those are some questions that could also be considered. Scenario 3, recent data analysis during a PLC revealed that science scores are not improving. The school's science teachers believe that a new teacher would be helpful to decrease class size, to make classroom numbers more manageable. And so then the teachers can focus more on interventions and one-on-one individualized attention. So some questions to ask here would be, what's the percentage of novice? When they say that numbers are really low, what does that mean? How low is it? Is it really an area that we're really needing to focus on, because a lot of students are struggling in that? What are the class sizes now? So are they, really, really large, or would a new teacher just kind of reduce them just a little bit if class sizes are already, in the low 20s or something like that? That's a pretty reasonable class size. So, would having another teacher really help that much? Do the teachers have the materials they need? Do they have the textbooks they need? Do they have science experiment materials, that sort of thing? Is there something that the council could help the science department purchase? in order to have more effective, instructional materials or supplies. And what about class size reduction? What does the research say about that? What is a good class size that has been proven to, help with student achievement? So those are some things to think about before deciding to hire another teacher. Scenario 4, the school technology coordinator, STLP coach, wants to hire students to help install new computers and software in the computer labs and over the summer. So some things to think about here is how much money is that going to be? How much money would that coordinator want to spend on those students? Is it going to be something that's just like a set amount of money for the whole summer, or is it like an hourly thing? Could volunteers be recruited instead? Would there be some, adults in the community who are very interested in technology and are good in technology that could help do this on the weekends or after work? Could some of these students, could some of the high school students that may be interested in wanting to go into a career in technology, be willing to donate their time just for experience and for something that they could put on, their resume or something like that. So just to explore those avenues first before, before immediately going to a payment there for those students. Scenario 5, the school's counselor has requested money to pay for math tutors for struggling students. So with this scenario, it'd be important to know what the data shows. When it says struggling students, how many students is that? Is that just a handful, or is it, the entire 3rd, 4th, 5th grade? So what does the data show in terms of struggling? How many of them are struggling? Could there be other grants available to assist with this? Maybe ESS funds could be used and those students could stay after school for ESS. Maybe they could get interventions throughout the school day from other, people that may be in the building that are already doing that. Are community partners willing to assist with this endeavor? Maybe community colleges could step in, or graduate students who may want to help with tutoring. They could be free, or they could charge a lower cost than like a tutoring company might. So those are all some different avenues that could also be explored as well. And then lastly, we have scenario 6. Several teachers have asked that the council increase the allocation for copy paper. It was $6,000, but teachers are running out of paper by April, and then they have to use their own funds to purchase copy paper. So things to think about here: what are the numbers of copies on the machines? Did the cost of paper increase? Do we need to assign copy numbers so that we can see, who's using the most paper, and then, maybe kind of limit the amount of paper? Do we need to increase the budget? So maybe every year we make it $7,000 instead of just raising it this one year. Maybe it'll be like an annual increase. And what about just curbing costs of paper? So maybe technology is used in place of paper assignments, work being completed online, newsletters being sent home through email or something like Class Dojo or something like that, instead of, paper copies. Could high school be doing, assignments online in the classroom? If the school is one-to-one, could they be utilizing those devices more to prevent using all that paper? So those are also some things to think about as well. So hopefully this activity just kind of got you thinking about just some questions that you can be kind of using when you are getting requests to use some of the budget for certain things, and just kind of using, good, wise sense and just thinking outside of the box in different ways to try to see what is the best, method to take, what is the right decisions to make when it comes to approving or denying these requests. So Now that you have completed responsibility 2, we're going to move on to responsibility 3, the third responsibility that councils have when it comes to the budget. So you will want to click on the next section that says responsibility number 3.